week. We're bringing a lot of wealth management advisors from all over the country. They'll be coming in the beginning of next week. That's something you have some interest in looking at. You can check off yes on the poll I just sent out there. Be glad to have one of them give you a call based on your interest. I know we do about, they do usually do one big meeting a year. Typically hold that in Omaha. And then we do some smaller meetings throughout the year. We have those in different locations throughout the country. So you have some interest in getting more involved on the wealth management side, and they can help you out with your Series 65 testing. They have some great platforms for your clients to invest in based on some good money managers. Some really good, valuable information that you can use off that side of the business. I know we have a lot of information you can utilize based on that. So definitely a great place to go. I'm going to leave this open for another couple of minutes here, or not a couple minutes, about another 15 seconds. But if you would have interest in attending one of those meetings or getting involved in the wealth management side, just check off yes. We'll have one of our specialists give you a call, and that way you can really move forward from that situation. Again, close that up here. But we've seen a nice increase in the assets under management here the last couple of years. We've grown from ground zero. I mean, we're already above $50 million in assets under management. So really it's a big part of our business at that point, and it continues to grow on a monthly basis. We also do our life and annuity academies. It's a great 2-day meeting we put on, typically at one of the home offices. The next one is going to be in Des Moines. We're co-opting this with another company, and we typically bring in about 40 agents to one of these meetings, and it's a great chance for you to pick up some valuable sales ideas. I know we have we're bringing about 7 or 8 speakers, which will be discussing some very valuable information on what they have available, maybe some sales software or maybe some sales presentations on seminar selling, or doing some website development, selling off of that. Really, it's a great 2-day meeting we put on. We typically fly you in on a Wednesday afternoon. The meeting itself would start on Wednesday evening, goes all day Thursday into Friday morning. Then you'd fly back out Friday afternoon. So if you have some interest in looking at our next meeting, which will be coming up in September, it's September the 18th to the 20th. Should be a really solid academy we're putting on. As I mentioned, we'll probably bring in around 40 agents to this one. And it's all expense paid. They pay for your flights, your room, your board, everything is taken care of. So really a solid 2-day meeting we'll be putting on at that point. So if you do have interest in that, just check off yes. We'd be glad to get you going on that, get things started on your side. But if you do have any questions along the way, definitely give us a call. We'd be glad to help you out with that side of it and be able to progress from there. I'm going to go ahead and close this up in about 15 seconds. But if you do have interest in attending one of our meetings, just check off yes. We'd be glad to get you signed up for that, and we'll look forward to seeing you here in a few months. Go ahead and get that closed up here. If you do have interest, definitely jump on board and be glad to get that done. We do have, as I mentioned, Craig Geiger will be joining us here shortly. He's our regional sales manager with Lincoln Financial Group. He does a great job on that end, and he's got some great information he'll be going over with you here in a couple minutes. I know we also are just finalizing our trip qualifications here for Ritz-Carlton this month. It runs to the end of June. It takes 3 million credits to qualify for that meeting. Should be a great opportunity for you to get on board and take advantage of that and move forward from there. But I'm going to go ahead and get Craig set up here. Good morning, Craig. Glad you could join us today.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep. And then I'm gonna go ahead and switch controls over to you, so your screen is showing now. I got you on board here.
Perfect.
Sorry about the problem we had at the beginning here. I know we had a little trouble getting that slides or some of our slides to show, so I got that all set up now, so we should be good to go moving forward. Otherwise, Craig, thanks for joining us today, and you got some great information to be covering on Lincoln Financial, a lot of the offerings they have, and some of the specialties they have on their side.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you, Matt. And thanks everyone for being on today's webinar. Lincoln really is really growing in a big way in the fixed index annuity arena. And really what I wanted to do today was just kind of give you guys a couple areas where Lincoln is really thriving, and a couple areas where, in particular, where Lincoln really has a very unique value proposition with maximizing non-qualified assets, and that's with I4Life. And now that's something I'll talk about toward the end. So why don't we kind of jump in and get started? And really what I wanted to talk about is just kind of the accumulation and some of the income solutions offered by Lincoln Financial. So one, obviously, is the accumulation market. We know that market's been growing. It's kind of come back into style in a big way. We're going to talk about protection till correction. We're going to talk about custom accumulation. And then once we're done with that, we're going to dive right into the income, protection when you need it, income and legacy, and of course the I4Life Indexed Advantage. And they'll kind of close it out with why Lincoln, why you want to partner with Lincoln. So really right now, where interest rates are, obviously interest rates have come back down. The MYGA rates don't look quite as attractive as they used to. So every advisor that I'm talking to right now, they're all looking for a MYGA alternative or a product that's going to give their client a good, strong fixed rate, but maybe at the same time have the opportunity to allocate to an index strategy that will give them the upside potential if the market rebounds. So that's going to be New Direction 6. This is a 6-year product that Lincoln has. What makes it unique, though, is that most index annuities have a 1-year fixed account, and then it floats after that. So you might get a nice, strong fixed rate in the first year, but then that rate can fluctuate throughout the rest of the surrender charge of the contract. New Directions is different. The MYGA bucket inside the contract, or the fixed bucket, is actually a 6-year MYGA bucket. And currently, with the new rates that went into effect on the 17th, it's 2.45, and that's guaranteed for the entire 6 years, not 1 year, but all 6 years, while also giving you index options like a performance trigger strategy, as well as a 2-year point-to-point on the S&P. So it's a great kind of, I can almost consider almost like a hybrid type of index annuity / fixed annuity, because it gives you index allocation options, but it gives you a strong fixed rate at the same time. Obviously, we know with where the market is right now that we don't know when this correction is going to happen, but I think we would all agree eventually whatever comes up eventually has to come back down and have some type of correction. So I think a lot of clients are looking to lock in gains, kind of get that protection before the correction type of thing. And then, so of course, when we look at the protection till correction, like I said, New Direction 6, the fixed rate is guaranteed for the entire 6 years. You have the ability to allocate to other index allocations later. But the key part of this is you have the ability to create some guaranteed return with that allocation to that fixed account. If you want to allocate a portion to that index account for the entire 6 years, at least you're going to be getting guaranteed yield on that particular bucket of money, while also having the ability to allocate to an index strategy for some of the upside growth. Now, in terms of custom accumulation, this is where OptiBlend fixed index annuity kind of comes into play. OptiBlend is really our major product suite. This is our top product suite. And the reason it's so popular, quite honestly, is because it comes in a 5-year, a 7-year, a 10-year, and it does come in a bonus version as well. And this is our most popular product suite. One, it's always going to give you a fixed account. The other thing is going to give you an uncapped strategy. Now, I know a lot of carriers have uncapped strategies. They have volatility control indexes, and they all have unique things. What makes Lincoln kind of unique is we kind of took a different approach. We said we want to be a little more transparent and make it an easier index to explain, because the easier the index is to explain, the more likely the client is to understand it. So the way ours works is it's an uncapped strategy with a spread. But the key part of this is it's 100% on the S&P 500. If we hit 5% volatility or greater, we move some of that money into cash. Once that settles down, it goes back into the S&P 500. So there is no bond component in the mix, which is important, because as interest rates rise, let's say over the next 10 years, you're not going to have that in the mix that can potentially really hold back some of the performance opportunities because not 100% of the money is in the S&P 500. The other key part, or actually the other two key parts of this is one, the dividends are included in the performance, which is huge because the fact that you get the dividends included in the performance gives you more opportunity for more upside potential for your client. And the strategy is a 1-year strategy. It's not a 2 or a 3 year where you got to figure out where your client's going to land. Every year you get to lock in that gain and start fresh the next year. We also have a performance trigger strategy. If the market's flat or anything up, you get a performance trigger rate. We have a 1-year S&P 500 cap. We have some of the highest caps in the industry today. And we have some of the highest par strategies in the industry right now. So really, we give you the full, we give you all of the different index options you're looking for, as well as a fixed account inside all of these 4 OptiBlend products. Now, obviously, the other thing I want to point out too is if your client is looking for income, or if you're looking to kind of quote and say, who's got the best income in 5 years? My client might need to take income in 5 years. The key part of this is whenever you're looking for the best income, there's a cost to that income. If you're going to get the best income for your client, it usually comes at a cost in such that you get lower caps, lower pars, higher spreads. So the opportunity for growth inside that particular product is not as great. The nice thing with Lincoln that's very, very unique to Lincoln is the fact that you could use OptiBlend 7 or use OptiBlend 10 or use OptiBlend Plus, and you can buy just for accumulation and get strong caps, high pars, low spreads, and you can add our Edge 2.0 rider post-issue, which means you can add it later. You don't have to add it now. So the client isn't 100% sure if they need that income rider. Now you can sell a more competitive accumulation product with the opportunity to add that income rider later. The way I always kind of use it as an example is like Mr. and Mrs. Client. It's like you going to work today and you get into a car accident. You don't have car insurance. Call State Farm. They cover the entire wreck, and that covers the entire wreck. So more or less, you're getting the protection in the protection when you actually need it, and that's kind of how the post-election option works with Edge 2.0 is that you can add that guaranteed income rider when the client actually needs it or wants to use it. So it's something that's very, very unique to Lincoln. And like I said, it's like having car insurance after the wreck. Obviously, you have clients that change their minds. Do you have clients whose income needs change? Do you have clients who don't want to pay fees? The nice thing about it is you have a lot of customization with Lincoln with the fact that you can start with an accumulation product and then change it up to income later because you can add that rider at a later point. And of course, the nice thing is you're still getting strong accumulation opportunities with the OptiBlend series because you're getting strong caps, low spreads, and higher pars with the opportunity to add that Edge 2.0 at a later point in the contract. Now, in terms of income and legacy, this is where we're going to kind of talk about the income solutions that Lincoln offers. Edge 2.0 is our traditional income rider. That's going to be a traditional roll-up where you're taking the income later. You get a higher payout factor the longer you wait. And then, of course, we're also going to talk about the I4Life rider. So the Edge 2.0 rider, the way this is going to work is it's a 7% simple roll-up for 10 years, and the payout bands go up by the year. So it's very competitive, especially income within 2 to 7 years. That's kind of the sweet spot, if you will, for that particular rider. It only costs 95 basis points. And that's obviously a rider that you can add either at contract issue or you can add post-issue if you want to add it at a later point.
Hey, Craig.
Now, what I think is really,
A couple of questions have come up. So when you're talking about the 6-year contract,
yes.
You can reallocate your strategies at the end of each anniversary, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, that question came up. And then another question came up is, let's say your client adds this rider on after 5 years. Will it still roll up for a full 10 years, or will it just roll up for the 5 years remaining of the first 10?
It'll roll up for 5 years.
Okay. So it's a 10-year roll-up, but if you don't add it until the 5th year, it's going to roll up for 5 years.
Correct.
Okay. That's a question that also came up.
Yeah, so I mean, the nice thing is, though, is if you get a client that's not 100% sure if they want the income rider, but they want to add it at a later point, at least you don't have to make that decision now. You can actually, put them in a very competitive accumulation product that actually gives them really strong index strategies and pricing with the ability to add that income rider post-issue.
Right.
Is the story.
And they're not going to pay the fee for a number of years also.
Correct.
Good.
Correct. So you don't have any fee drag. Exactly. So.
Very good.
So the other thing that I really wanted to dive into today is really what's important with I4Life Indexed Advantage. And this is something that's very, very, very unique to Lincoln. And it's been around since 2000. Actually, it's been on the VA side for all of those years. Only recently in the last 2 years or so has it been available on the indexed annuity side. And really what it is in a nutshell is if you think about non-qualified assets, if you got clients that have highly appreciated non-qualified annuities. So these are annuities that have been in deferral for a while, or maybe it's cash value life insurance, or maybe it could just be cash. The key part of this is if I have non-qualified money and I want to get the most guaranteed income for my client, a lot of times if I don't look at an income rider, I'm probably looking at an immediate annuity. I'm looking at an immediate annuity because one, obviously you get guaranteed income for either a set period of time or for life. But the key part of this is the fact that the income comes out a more tax favorable way because it comes out with an exclusion ratio. When it comes out with an exclusion ratio, it's part cost basis, part gain in each payment. Therefore, I'm not getting taxed on the whole thing. I'm only getting partially taxed, which means my client winds up getting more net check in terms of actually spendable income retirement. But what's the downside? The downside is when you put it into an immediate annuity, the client loses control, they lose flexibility, and they don't like that. And more often than not, that's probably why they go and look at the deferred annuity and do the income rider or do a deferred annuity and just systematic withdrawals. I4Life kind of gives you the best of both worlds. You're going to be using a Lincoln index annuity like OptiBlend 7 or 10 with the ability to add this rider on where if I got a client that's got a $500,000 variable annuity and $250,000 is cost based and $250,000 is gain, if I leave it where it is and my client takes income, it's going to come out LIFO, last in, first out. If I 1035 that over to another insurance company now with a lifetime income rider, it still comes out last in, first out, LIFO. Whereas with I4Life, that income can now be pulled out of the I4Life rider on that index annuity with Lincoln, part cost basis, part gain, which means they're going to get more tax efficient income, which means they're going to get more net check. And that's the key story here with I4Life. Now, obviously, I4Life is kind of broken down into 4 categories. One, obviously, you're going to get guaranteed lifetime income with downside protection, which means your income's never going to change. It's an income stream that's guaranteed for life. 2 is the key part is the tax advantages with non-qualified money. Because unfortunately, if you use an income rider or we take systematic withdrawals of a deferred annuity, it's always going to come out the most tax inefficient way possible. So the question I ask the client is, do you want this fully taxed, your income, or do you want it partially taxed? I would think most clients want it partially taxed, and that's really where I4Life comes in to give them a more tax smart strategy to pull income out of an existing non-qualified annuity, more tax favorable, and to create more net income for the client. At the same time, we also give the client back what they don't get with an immediate annuity, which is that access and control, which means they can take additional withdrawals on top of their I4Life payments. They still have the opportunity to grow the account value in the contract because it is in an index annuity. So you're still allocated, if you will, into index allocations that are still growing. So it's not money that's just sitting there not growing. You can still build the account value while you're taking income. And then 4th, you get joint life coverage. You have the ability to do non-spousal joint income, which is huge. A lot of income riders, you have to be married. With I4Life, you could do non-spousal joint income as well as pre-59.5 income as well. So it makes it Lincoln very unique for that client that's looking for that income now, that's looking for tax efficient income, tax efficient income, if you will, and have the ability to do that. And I4Life really fits the bill there. Now, currently, in its current form, I4Life is for income now. It's not for income later, but come this fall, we are working to get a post-election opportunity where we can add I4Life at a later point. We don't have that currently available yet. We're still working with the IRS on that. But currently, as it is constructed today, this is definitely going to be for a client of yours that maybe has an existing non-qualified annuity, highly appreciated one, or cash value life insurance or cash that's looking for immediate income. This would be a great place to look to get the best of both worlds. You can still control the asset, but get the income come out with an exclusion ratio, so therefore it comes out more tax efficiently. to kind of give you a snapshot, because obviously everything comes down to numbers. What's the numbers going to look like? So if all things being equal, if I4Life is in the green, and let's say an income rider is in the blue, or a systematic withdrawal, if the income was identical, 13,978 on both sides, you'll see with I4Life, because it's going to come out with an exclusion ratio, the client's only getting taxed on 4,400, about 4,410, if you will, of that income, of the 13,978, and the 9,568 is return of cost basis, which is non-taxable. You take a 28% tax bracket, they're only paying $1,235 in taxes. Their net income, keyword net income, is $12,743. Whereas if I took systematic withdrawals, or if I use an income rider, all 13,978 is all taxable. The 28% tax bracket, you're paying a little over $3,900 in taxes, and your net check is just a little over 10 grand. You're getting almost $2,700 more net income to spend in retirement with I4Life, because it's going to come out in a much more tax favorable way. Because again, you're getting an exclusion ratio versus the income coming out all taxable or last in first out. Okay. So a couple questions to ask is, do you have clients who need income pre-59.5? If you're looking for that, I4Life can really help you there, because it waives that 10% penalty on pre-59.5 income, because the income comes out as systematic periodic payments. Because the way I4Life is looked at, it's looked at as annuitization. Even though you're using a deferred annuity, but the income is pulled out with an exclusion ratio. And the reason we can do that is because we have 2 private letter rulings with the IRS going back to 2000. And because of that, it's taxed in a different way than it would be on a deferred annuity, where it will come out LIFO. So if you're looking for, if you got people who have new money, appreciated non-qualified annuities, looking for joint available income, even with qualified money, I4Life is a great place to look. At the same time, if you have clients that have passed away recently with a non-qualified annuity, the question to ask is, does that current carrier offer a post-death 1035 exchange? And if they do, we might be able to help there to give the beneficiary another option to be able to move that asset and maybe create a more tax-efficient income stream at Lincoln with I4Life. So just kind of want to wrap things up. Why Lincoln? Obviously, we're A-rated, 91 Comdex score, 114 plus years of experience. We're very competitive, not only on the accumulation front, but on the income side. We obviously have very unique income solutions with I4Life. And of course, we also have a Premier Partners program for top producers. You do $3.8 million, you get to go to our trip. You also get the opportunity to get into our deferred comp program, which you can allocate about up to 80% of your commissions. You get the $7.8 million, you get stock grants of Lincoln stock, as well as marketing dollars as well. So you do have the opportunity to take advantage of that program. It is available to you if you can take advantage of it. And with that, I'm going to throw it back to Matt.
Well, appreciate it, Craig. I know I got another couple questions that come up. Lincoln's very good on early withdrawals. They have 10% free withdrawals on most of our contracts in their first year, don't they, Craig?
They do. Now with Edge 2.0, now just to point out, with Edge 2.0 rider, the rider that has a 7% roll, you can take income after the first year. So there's a 1-year delay with that income rider.
But you can take out your free withdrawal in the first year, 10%?
Correct.
Good. And then on the I4Life, so you start taking that out immediately. Can they stop payments on that, or is it something you just have to keep taking?
No. Yeah, you got to keep taking. So that's how we get the tax treatment like a SPIA, because the income's coming out in systematic periodic payments, and because you're taking the income that way, the IRS gives you a break, if you will, because it's now taxed with an exclusion ratio, and that's why you get the special. I shouldn't say special, but you get the more tax favorable tax treatment because you're taking the income that way.
Sure. And then your number one seller right now, is that the OptiBlend 10?
It is. OptiBlend 10 is our number one selling product.
Okay.
And I think it's our number one selling product, quite honestly, because one, it gives you guys the best of both worlds. The compensation is great on that contract, but the caps, the spread, the par, all the pricing is also in the index strategy. So it's a great product that's got the best of both worlds. And that's why probably it's our number one selling product.
What's your par rate on that? You have a par rate without a cap?
Correct. Yeah, so right now, let me just pull up the rate sheet. So on OptiBlend 10 with the rate change right now, the annual point-to-point cap is 5.25. The par rate's 41% par. The uncapped strategy, so it's uncapped. Remember, 100% on the S&P 500, no bonds, has a cash. If you hit some volatility, dividends included, 1-year strategy. The spread on that's 1.6. So it's one of the lowest spreads in the industry.
That's very good.
And then we also have a 1-year performance figure right now that's at 3.7, and then we have a 1-year fixed account in that bracket paying 1.95. And the other thing, Matt, that I'll make sure I send you if you want to send out to everybody that's on the webinar is we do have a brand new renewal rate piece on OptiBlend 10 on our renewal rate. So it actually shows you over the last 4 years how consistently we've come back on our renewal cap on the annual cap strategy. So it's something I think to look at, that where you can see that Lincoln's not only competitive in that first year, but our renewal caps are very competitive as well.
Good. Yeah, it'll be a good piece to have. And then I had another question. Can the I4Life rider be added later? At this point, no. Correct?
Correct. As it is today, no. But once we get the okay from the IRS, because so right now you can do a post-election I4Life on the VA side, so we know it can be done. We're just waiting for the finalization and the authorization from the IRS. Say, yes, you're good to go to offer that on the index annuity. So the hope is that we're going to get that in the fall. But as it is right now, if you're going to position I4Life with your clients, this is definitely going to be an income now solution for non-qualified assets. And of course, you can also put qualified assets in I4Life too. But if you're asking me where it's really going to stay with I4Life, it's going to be non-qualified assets.
Okay. And then another question came up on beneficiary planning. Does Lincoln Financial allow stretch non-qualified and qualified, yes, or just qualified?
Non-qualified.
You'll do a stretch on non-qualified also?
Correct.
Okay. That came up. So that's really good. I mean, there's not a great deal number of companies that'll do a stretch on a non-qualified account. And it's good to know that Lincoln Financial will do that. And is there a minimum requirement on the amount of money that has to come over, Craig, for that?
That I don't have in front of me, but I get that for you.
Yeah, so it's probably the same as the minimum for the policy itself, which is typically 10 grand.
Correct.
Right. And typically it's only going to make a big difference if they have a pretty good sized gain on a non-qualified account. Otherwise, if there's not a lot of gain, a lot of, say your clients have been taking money out over the years, there's not a lot of additional on top of principal, it's probably not worth stretching. But if you do have a sizable gain, then it would be worth stretching at that point.
So I think that's again where that that post-death 1035 exchange opportunity is going to make a lot of sense, because it's going to give that beneficiary, if the existing carrier will do a post-death 1035 exchange, really where I4Life can kind of come in is it can be another option to take that stretch, but take it in a much more tax favorable way. Good. And I'll also send you that piece as well, so you can kind of send it out to everybody that's on the webinar. Great.
That sounds good. And at this point, we're looking at all S&P indexing based on what Lincoln offers, and those have, I mean, in the recent history, have done the best. I mean, the ones that have been linked to the S&P, I've seen that those have had the best, most consistent results. So it's good that you guys have those available. Otherwise, anything you want to wrap up with this morning, Craig?
No, that was it. Just if you have any questions, just please feel free to reach out to IAMS or definitely check out Lincoln. And one thing that I'll also mention too is that we have a lot of new stuff that we're going to be rolling out in the fall. So more stuff to come, new illustration software, post-election I4Life, a lot of things we're building behind the scenes. So a lot of stuff that's still coming. So definitely exciting times at Lincoln.
Excellent. Well, appreciate your time this morning, and I'll be giving everyone a call that has attended today's webinar. So if you have any questions you come up with in the meantime, I'll be calling everyone probably this afternoon regarding today's webinar. And if you need any quotes done or have any specific case situations, I'd be glad to go over those with you. Otherwise, we appreciate everyone's time this morning. Everyone have a great week this week, and enjoy the summertime temperatures. Otherwise, everyone have a great one, and we'll talk to everyone soon. Bye now.